true to who you are because it's good.
TJ Fresh Records.
Keep on press. Push forward, never let the wicked get you down. Gotta make a step.
Keep on stepping.
Some other time them will get caught up in the moment. So overwhelmed. I've the drive, but I don't know where I am going. So I hold my head and I cry like no one to. Tell myself, oh, I can't do. But remember, we must never lose hope. My purpose in a life. Open up your eyes.
Well, I think we're live for yet another roundtable discussion. I like the way in which we get into this program because I do a program as a solo program on a Sunday right before that program, and it's like a warm-up for me for the team's program. So I welcome you. I'm hoping that those people who were with me on the other program have joined for just one more hour. And on this program, we're actually talking about the plan. I normally talk about what we can do and how we should, and on that program, the program houses the plan for unity and growth and progress that we all agree Dominica really desperately needs. I remember saying on my other program that we all talk about unity without really practicing what it is and without presenting a plan for the unity that people can buy into, read and see. And you can certainly read and see our plans. Our plans are all laid out on the programs that we have done. There's a little manifesto that we presented and ideas that we have shared. And today we're going to drop some more plans as well. So I think in terms of the little space that we share on social media, our Team Unity Dominica has presented a plan that it's worth the while to at least look at and to give some due consideration to assisting, to develop, to change, revamp, but to work together for God's sake in the interest of our country and the overwhelming majority of our people. So welcome to another Team Unity Dominica Roundtable. I'm elated to be here as the lead of the message. Boldly so and proudly so. And that ties into what I said initially, that there are times you step out and do what you think you must, when you must. Because if not, you wouldn't feel comfortable. And especially when others are not doing what you think you must do. So you believe in yourself, you trust the message, and you go out there with hope, believing that you're doing what is right. And I believe what I am doing is right and what we are doing is good for Dominica. My brother Carlos, who also doubles as producer of the program, is of course joining me today. We will be joined by other members of our team as time goes by today. And probably you will see a bit less of me sometimes moving forward. But as the leader on the messaging, you will see me around. I'm not going to disappear. I'm going to be here as much as possible to share the good tidings of great joy and unity. Carlos, the brother, somewhere around.
Brother.
I'm not sure where you are, but good afternoon to you. How are you doing?
I'm global. How are you? I'm fine.
Well, I'm afraid to ask you what country you're in now, but I just take it that you're here. I'm happy that you're on, my dear brother. I'm looking forward to have a little wonderful discussion today.
I continue to work with the docs and my family to ensure that my dear father gets back to full strength.
Wonderful.
Did surgery this week, last week, I should say. His recovery is slow, but it's coming up. But we expect Yeah, we expect him to have a full recovery.
Amen. Slow but sure. People normally say, have a speedy recovery. I don't think we should really say that. Recovery can be slow sometimes, or it should be slow sometimes.
Yeah, well, he just started his exercises and so on. You know,
Wow, already?
yeah, man.
That's
Yeah,
good, man.
Lambi like a soldier marching in the house.
But you know what, man? Let's call him Lambi the Lion. Yeah,
Lambi
that's
the
Lambi's
champion.
new name. Tell him we rechristen him, man. Lambi the Lion,
Well, like Christian in the King, yeah. That's a
the
real
king.
king. That's a real King Charles.
Yeah, but I'm happy to hear that he's doing well. He had successful surgery and he's recuperating. I'm happy that your family could come together with the help of others to help him out, to get the surgery that he needed, to get the health care that he needed. I wish so many of us didn't have to travel for that kind of quality of care, but apparently it appears to be that, well, that appears to be the case in Dominica. But that is something that will change eventually when we get into office in terms of policies, national policies for health and so on, and insurance as well.
You see, these are the kind of things that um, persuade persons like myself. Well, I can only speak for myself to get into this mission because when I think of the way things are and what persons have been going through, what I myself have been going through, that's not something I want for somebody else growing up. You know, I mean, the country has a lot to offer, and it's it's kind of sad that we think that only a few or one set should be benefited. But let's move forward.
Yeah, and the problem, I mean, we will talk about our health plan sometime later, but the problem is easily solved. Dominica is not a very hard nation to manage, you know. Yes, we don't have the population of scale to do certain economic ventures, but we also don't have the huge population to take care of. You're talking about 60,000 people on a national insurance plan. And that problem is solved in terms of having people to fly out every day. Well, you can still fly out, but you're going to have support. Most times you have people pretty much going to get health care, and that's a fundamental right, Carlos. No one should be denied of quality health care.
And we see that happening. We hear of cases where that happens over and over. Kind of sad, but
Yeah, that's one of the most basic fundamental human rights enshrined by the charters of the United Nations. It states that every person is, is bound to receive health health care when it is necessary and needed, and emergency care as well. So we'll talk about that. I think in a couple of programs we'll talk about health. But as I said, as we're talking about Lambi and you, I just thought we would just
kind of touch on that.
on that, touch on that a bit.
But Alex, now in the not 5-year anniversary of Hurricane Maria, it will be wise if we, as the team, bring our ideas forward as to what we will do in terms of disaster, national security. I know it would fall under our team unity government. It would fall under a bigger ministry. But what sort of plans would you like to share with the general public about?
Okay, well, it's very interesting. And before we start, let's reach out to those people who lost loved ones during Maria and even Erika, and the people in Maragat and Kingston and other areas around Dominica who suffer loss by the passage of Fiona. And those people who actually suffered loss, with hurricanes before, David and Maria and Frederick, it's always a iffy moment when that time of year come around. So we are in solidarity with those people who suffer, and we continue to hope that human suffering will be less and less. But that said, I think the occasion presents itself for us on the anniversary of Maria, and again with the passage of Fiona in the northeast of Dominica across the coast, to at least drop an idea, a hint of what our disaster preparedness and national security plan would be. We already have a white paper, so to speak, or a draft of the plan, which which is ready for inclusion into our manifesto, which is being worked out. Of course, we're going around the country getting information from individuals to add to our manifesto. And one of the stops will be on October 1, Carlos. Do you think we should already publish that date and where we're going to go?
Okay, I guess we can let that go, but let go the date, but the rest let's wait for all the things to fall into place.
Okay, so but not so we're not letting go the date. We're talking about the plan. Okay, so let's leave it. Let's hold it still.
Yeah, hold on to that.
All right, wonderful. I was testing to see if you are a good strategist, and indeed you are, Carlos. So yes, so our plan for disaster preparedness and national security is ready for inclusion into the manifesto, but we want to work with interest groups and professionals to make sure that what we present meets their satisfaction. But here are a few ideas that we have in terms of management of disasters. So we are going to reimagine this idea of disasters to include other things like pandemics that we had not really catered for as much as we should have, because we, in the history of the world, 100 years ago, we had the last pandemic. We probably have that in the back of our minds, but there had been no active plan for the management of pandemics. We will put that as front and center in our plan. The idea of hurricanes and other such weather systems like storms, depressions, to include floods and even tsunami. We are also going to include that in our overall plan to mitigate and to manage, mitigate against the damages of disaster. Earthquakes and other earth movements. We saw some earth movements in Marigot, Carlos. Your area, you're a Marigot man, you love the constituency. I will see how much you love Marigot closer to the election. Anyway, enough said. So we saw some earth movement in Marigot over classic guest house, which is not caused by landslide, but by, I guess, because of the water and the seepage of the water under the earth caused the earth to move. So we're going to plan to manage those sort of disasters as well. What do we do? No, I saw this place at Kingston, and this wall just fell and it just left this wonderful $1 million house exposed. How do we take care of backwalling? What do we put in place in terms of codes and all of that? The idea of chemical and oil spills in Dominica's waterways. Do we have plans in place? I believe we should have as a government, but we have ideas of our own proactive plans, how to mitigate against the possibility of those and what we're going to do if in case we have that. Topsoil erosion, Carlos, that's another area that is very, very crucial when it comes to Dominica. We have very fertile soil. But Carlos, as a farmer and a son of a farmer, you know the best part of the soil is the topsoil. And we had a lot of erosion of our topsoil, especially within the past 5 years. And that has to be replaced and replenished. We have a plan of how to replenish the topsoil. Wildfires. There are certain parts, especially in the West, and other areas where we are prone to having fires, bushfires, wildfires. Well, we are going to study those fires, see what's causing those fires inherently, which we have an idea, but we're going to conduct some real studies, have experts in fire assist us, and do what is necessary if we have to build trenches and other techniques to fight against those fires put in place. Extreme temperatures, Carlos. Lately, it has gotten very, very, very hot in Dominica. I've never known it being so hot in our country. I mean, yes, sun blazes down sometime, but you wasn't feeling it as you feel it now, especially in Roseau and other places, even in the country too. I mean, the sun is unbearable. What is happening? How are we going to work with that? Are we going to reforest? Are we going to change things around? We have that in terms of our plan. And it gets very cold at times too. It used to get cold in Norway and those wet areas, but it gets really terribly cold so at certain times, to the point where you can hardly take a cool water bath. People know if they don't have hot water, they don't, it's going to be difficult to take a bath. What is changing? So we're going to look at that. Food and water scarcity. We have water, a lot of water. How have we been managing our water? What will happen if, let's say, we have no clean flowing water for a month? So say something happened and we cannot have the waters flowing clean. What is the backup plan for there to be water security? I'm not too sure. What reserves we have through our ASCO. So our plan takes that into consideration to increase capacity. Economic disaster, Carlos, another area we're looking at. How are we managing the economy? Dr. Fontaine, one of the foremost economists in the region and the world, always speaks about that. He's very good on that, very, very strong at that. Looking forward to working with him, even to develop our plan further in terms of providing a secure economic base, economic reserves. How much money does our country have in reserve? Our idea is to have a $10 billion in cash and assets stocked away in reserve for when we need it most. You cannot not have a reserve of money. Most major economies have reserves. The Federal Reserve in America, let's check it out. Russia and those places, China. You need a reserve. We have that as an idea, a plan of ours, because the economy of a nation is crucial to the safety and health of the nation. And we also have a plan to manage insurrections, people who try to violently take over the affairs of government, and violent public disorder. Now, we are not saying that we are going to stop those from happening, but you have to plan for those things, because those things can happen. So we have 11 major items and other sub-items as part of our blueprint that will guide the development of our disaster preparedness and national security, Carlos. I do not know whether you want to jump in now to elaborate on an area, or if you think I omitted an area, let me know, because we all have access to the plans. I'm just presenting it. You could have done the same. I'm pretty much speaking from what we have discussed. So if there's anything I left out, my dear brother, now would be a good time to jump in and say, well, I think you left that out, and so on. Or am I on the right track? I suspect Carlos is looking for an insert before. So I'll continue, Carlos, with the hope that you can just jump in at any time and let me know if I actually omitted to mention something. You're muted.
Sorry, my apologies. You're on the right track. You're on the right track.
Good. So can I continue? We good?
Good. Go ahead. We're good.
All right. Fine. Because that's what you asked me to do, to present our plan. So I'm presenting our plan. All right. So these are the major areas which kind of ground our plan, national disaster, national security plan, disaster preparedness and national security plan. But those plans fall under a ministry, the Ministry of Human Development, Ports, Maritime Affairs, Aviation, Disaster Management, Aeronautics, and Intelligent Life. That's the ministry. We have put together a list of like 11 ministries, I think, which we think we will adopt with a minor tweak here or there when we get into office. And not if, but when. And even if we don't get into office as a team and another team gets into office, we will borrow them, our ideas. And if they're willing to adopt it, fine, because we think that our plan is good for Dominica. And if another team, and even if the incumbent wins again, we hope that they would have a look at what we are suggesting, because this is a new plan for the times. So the Ministry of Human Development, Ports and Maritime Affairs, Aviation, Disaster Management, Aeronautics, and Intelligent Life. This is the ministry that will help us to reform and discuss the way forward for the management of natural disasters. And one of the first things we're going to do, my dear brother Carlos, is work our plan through 1,000 strong young Dominicans who we will empanel, employ, train to be Dominica National Guards personnel. We have been saying that. I will continue to say that.
And that ties in with what we mentioned on our budget response.
Yes. In the budget, we said that, and we continue saying that. We will do that. There's no ifs or buts. We will occupy, employ, train 1,000 Dominicans as part of our National Guards. Not military at all. Just resourceful first responders who will be assisting in many areas. They'll be trained, Carlos. These 1,000 strong National Guards personnel will be trained. Of course, we will have uniform for them. It would be probably paramilitary uniforms, because they're going to be trained to do a number of special skills like carpentry, masonry, plumbing. Some of them will be life coaches. We'll train them in first aid, welding, auto mechanics, information technology, deep sea diving, heavy duty operators, truck drivers, climbers, people who climb trees, firefighting, basic. We train people in negotiation techniques and skills, in conflict resolution, and in proactive monitoring to prevent and de-escalate conflicts among people. We train people to be handy people, handy men and women. We will work on other specialized skills like sign language, care for the elderly, care for the infirm and disabled and aged. Because all these are skills that first responders are going to need. Carlos, we also going to be working with some of those individuals to train them to fly helicopters, because we will be investing in some helicopters. Because of the terrain of our country, we'll be putting up some landing pads, and we will own some helicopters or work with owners of helicopters to be able to be of use to us whenever we are interested. And we would provide crew as well. And we will train people to fly. Go to school for a few years if you have to and learn to fly. And your job would be to help to protect the security of our country. Because if something happened in Monday or Brute, we can't wait until we trek our way there. We have to find a place to get the closest landing of the helicopter and then make it easier to get people out.
Interestingly, we have persons who are trained in those fields. We have Dominicans who are trained in those fields. I not call any names, but there are persons who are trained in those sort of fields.
Okay, so Carlos, we'll recall them, and we will utilize them.
Make them feel that Dominica is worth coming back to, because right now the general cry of any young person is, "Why? What can I do to get out of Dominica?"
Oh yes, I've been hearing that. Even my time recently on the island showed me that, boy, we are losing, and we're going to lose much more of our people. And the people who are in authority now don't care, because they keep on, the more we lose, the more they win. Because I don't think they're well. Anyway, let's not talk about them. Let's talk about what we plan to do. So the helicopter operators would be a significant aspect of our government's policy. when it comes to the national security defense of our country. Think of Soufriere and the slides on the road and the people who have to come from Soufriere. We will either fly them out or boat them out. And I will talk about some other enhancement that we are planning to do as well as part of our disaster preparedness and national defense plan. So airline passports as well, airline pilots as well. I know we have a few airline pilots and hospitality people. We're going to have specialized training for the operation of different classification of vessels. We'll talk to our friends the Chinese, our friends the Americans who fly big cargo planes, the Venezuelans, because all the friends of government now will be our friends. You know. Those people who are in office now are going to go out with the friends when they leave, you know. The friends will be the friends of our government and our people. So we'll say, look, we have a few pilots, a few young people. What can we do for work for your company to get them trained to work, to be certified on flying certain aircrafts and use them? Because there's always going to be every year some system passing through the Caribbean island, Dominica, Antigua, St. Lucia. So our people, our guards people who will be trained will be able to go throughout the region. The same way RSS is doing it on a military point of view, we have a service point of view, guards, individual being trained. No, we're not saying we're going to replace RSS, you know.
No.
But we are doing our own domestic thing. And we will have that talent ready for export if it becomes necessary, let's say to St. Lucia or St. Vincent. Yes, Carlos? You were saying something?
No.
All right. Sorry, I thought you were stopping.
No, go ahead.
We're also going to invest in individuals who would train and manage and handle cadaver dogs, special dogs, who are equipped with the ability to sniff out things from places far and wide. It really bothered me to see we had to get dogs from Martinique in the search of our little angel who is still missing. And suddenly the train has gone cold on her. But in my heart, my daughter is still gone. She's still somewhere. I do not know where she is. And sometimes at night, I wake up thinking, cannot sleep, saying exactly what happened. So we will have those specialized, lovely dogs, trained and maintained by us, domiciled in Dominica, to assist us in whatever recovery we need them to assist us. So probably the dog trainers would have to go overseas, maybe in our friends in across the mountain border, probably to Mexico somewhere, to learn that particular skills. And all these skills will be invested in the hands of the young people we're going to put into the special program. And then one of the things we'll do as well is to offer basic paramilitary training, especially for search and rescue, and probably a little hand combat as well. So as we said, these people are not going to be military, but there must be a little aspect of that, because if they're going to be out there, they need some kind of training. That's where the costuming come in, the clothing come in. So they will get special designation to wear sort of military kind costume. But we would know that will be National Guards people with the wonderful big green patch on their shoulders. You cannot go wrong with that. So you know when they come, it's not military coming, it's the responders coming. You see the military from a mile away. So there will be no mistake between the guards, even individual, and the military individual. So these are some of the areas we will enhance the skills for those people to operate in Dominica. So now that we have said that, Carlos, and I suspect our time is already gone past half the hour, we will empanel a team of experts to create a grand vision for the protection and defense of our nation. So all of that we do, we don't do it on our own. We are suggesting what we want to do, but we're going to empanel a team, and we give them the mandates and the guideline as follows, Carlos. So you talk about plan. We are presenting plan. We're not here castigating anybody. As I said before, based on my awareness, we are the only team that have come up with plans, solid plans of what we can do, especially of late, to develop and enhance our country. So the ideas that we are presenting will be developed by a team of experts and professionals because we are not experts in disaster. There are people who do that, like the Marshall guy and the Shillingford guy and Naf Isaac and these people. We'll call Naf back from St. Martin. Naf and Miss Lawrence. What's her name? The Lawrence young lady from Penville. Is it Lawrence or not Lawrence? No. I forgot her name. My good friend, boy. She's married to. Oh, I forgot her name. Cheryl, man. Cheryl something.
You're getting old, man, Alex.
No, man. I probably didn't want to call her name because she might say Alex, and I think you're politics, you know.
Okay, well, but we know the people necessary in the various fields.
Yeah, we will call our professionals who have gone away, invite them back. People like Darwin Telemac, who is managing the port in Antigua and Barbuda and doing an amazing job, transform the port authority in Antigua from what it was to what it is now. Darwin.
I saw photos posted this morning from the transition of what the port used to be to what it is now. Oh my God, this is
that's my colleague.
This is amazing.
That is my colleague. That's my colleague. I can call and say, Darwin, man, we need you to come and reimagine our port for us. Help Badwill, man. Show him what we can do. And do it. Not just Woodbridge Bay, but we have plans for the creation of a number of ports, additional ports. Carlos, I'm excited about the prospects of the future. So we would establish port of entry in Kufuye. I see the government has put out like a jetty or whatever it is there. We're going to put a full-fledged port with staff, immigration and customs. So if somebody wants to come into that port, they can get into that port.
And you know, I'm passionate about Marigot.
So Marigot going to have a port as well, a bona fide port.
The facility is already there.
Yes, put customs and immigration there, put officers there. There's Marigot, there's Medula right across the street. And create dynamism. And we have ideas for the port of Marigot and the port of St. John's. But we will not get into that as yet. When elections are called, we will put that out. So we'll have port in Soufriere with officers. I can see people like Henrietta from Soufriere who works at the port. Well, I know she worked at the port, at Badwill Port for a while. Probably she will be a supervisor down in Soufriere, right in the backyard. And create business and make the port full-fledged, strong to be able to withstand any condition, so we can have bona fide business in and out of Soufriere. We will do the same for Grand Bay. The water is a bit choppy in Grand Bay, but who says we can't put up a port that adapts to the environment with the same amenities there? So our idea is to do that as well, because we may have to evacuate people if we need to, because Grand Bay can get cut off too, you know. If you look at the road to Grand Bay, Pichle, Bellevue, how are we going to get people out of Grand Bay? How are we going to get out of Bacatel and Possession? So that's our idea too. Our idea as well is to establish a port in St. Joseph on the west, and not just a port, a police facility, like a sort of a sub headquarters on the west, with facility to move 20, 30 police officers, with probably an inspector or ASP in charge. So you create more business and life in those areas. St. Joe should be a city. So our idea is to do that as well in St. Joseph. And all of this is going to help with the management of disasters and the national defense. And of course, creating more rhythm in the economy. Carlos,
Let me use as an example. So sorry, welcome our brother Kenton, who's I'm assuming he's on the road somewhere.
yeah.
Assuming on the road somewhere. I know how these handymen operate. So Kenty,
Indeed,
welcome
indeed,
to
indeed. First of all, let me apologize for being late, but I needed to be there. So I make myself available. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good day, my brother. You know, let you know we made allowances for that. We said that members will join a bit later because we know you're on the road. We know you're working. Erwin is, Kendra is. So we said that you would be joining. So although you apologize, but no need to. The members expected that. Yeah, so we're going over the document that we had been looking at and working on, and I was actually presenting some facts. I don't know if you heard what some of what I said and you want to chime in now, or if you would allow me to continue. I don't know what you want to do now. It's our show.
Yes, please continue. Please continue.
All right, cool. Cool. So we were talking about the ports and how we're going to develop some more ports in those areas that we spoke about. And not just
Alex.
that. Yes,
Alex,
partner?
let me chime in there. We were talking about the police and not security. Um, a little focus not just on the police, but at least the firemen. Take for example, an accident occurs under the Kinfield Cliff on a Friday afternoon, Montfell. What is the typical response time? You understand?
Yeah.
The fire and ambulance have to leave Roseau in that busy period to get out to Kinfield under the cliff. We need to look at things such as decentralizing services such as the fire
Mhm.
and not necessarily the general police, but those who are responsible for traffic,
Yeah.
the traffic department. Put them in
So
areas so they could be easier access the out districts if they have to respond. If not just but when they have to respond.
but that falls under our plan number 3 under our program for the decentralization of fire services. We are proposing now to have a central fire service in the east and one in the west.
Yes, I saw it. I just wanted to preempt you a little bit. So,
Yeah. So we are going to use those. What if there's a fire in Bells? We're going to come for fire from Roseau, the response from Roseau. So the idea is somewhere in the east. And we have an idea where it's going to be. We even see the land that we think we can use. But we cannot say that now until we are ready to, until we're ready to maybe to do it. But we think that is necessary for the protection of different people in different parts of the country. Right. Training facility for emergency response. Where is the training grounds for people who are doing the emergency response and the drills and stuff like that? There's no standard training facility. Yes, Mount Bruce trained the police, the fire train around the place. Who will create a training facility for multiple disciplines for training in multiple disciplines? In hand-to-hand combat, disaster mitigation, firefighting, first aid. So it would be a national training facility for emergency response. And of course, that would include the police if they want to go and do their part of the training as well. Although the police training, some of it would be restricted to the facility in Montrose. But we need space for people to be able to learn these drills. Right? And one of the things that we have to do is to institute this idea of emergency response and survival skills and drills at schools. In the schools in America here, there are drills almost ever so often where children respond to scenarios. I believe that is done in Dominica to an extent, but not in the way that I probably we should. We should, in the minds of the young people, early o'clock, teach them how to survive an earthquake, probably a flood. Most of our people can swim naturally, but we have to make sure that all our children in Dominica can swim. Every Dominican should be able to swim. So we put all of that as plans of the program. So one day The children go out to the beach with divers, with professionals, and teach our children to swim. I know parents do a good job at it, but it's going to be part of the school's curriculum for children to learn survival skills and to do them as part of the school curriculum. And most importantly, Carlos and Kenty, one of the ideas that we spoke about is to create rescue shelters. We have emergency hurricane shelters, we call it. Well, a hurricane shelter is not an earthquake shelter or is not a volcano shelter. We propose to create dome-style emergency rescue shelters that are shatterproof, windproof, earthquake-proof, fireproof. So if in the worst case scenario we have a case, we can help to protect lives within those shelters. And the plan is to have regional shelters. So like maybe 6 or 7 regional or district shelters. And that too ties in to our food storage. Food, dry foods. If something really happens and we can't get food in from Miami or wherever we order our food from, what we're going to eat? What is the reserve? What is this the stockpile of food you have? Dry foods, biscuit, cricks can last for years. How much of that we have stockpiled? If in case we have a situation where we just cannot bring food in. Yes, we can boil our legadashin and stuff like that, but you need to have certain things available. You know, medical, what we have, we're going to create piles of reserves of those vital stuff. I get the feeling that I'm talking too much in the fellas. Am I talking too much or tell me?
Good job, good job. You're doing a good job.
No, you're presenting the program, you know.
Thank you.
Unless you want me to, or Kenty to continue presenting what we have.
Can, you know, I mean, any of us can, because the program, as I said, you know the program. It's a program that we all put together. But it's important that you sell your ideas. You don't waste time talking about other people and other parties. We don't do that. In TUD, we don't do that. We present our ideas. So the people will either go for ideas or go for our ideas. I think the people have two choices, either our ideas or our ideas, because we're not hearing that from other people. All we're hearing is who do that, who this, who that. We're not in that. We are here to help Dominica to move forward. We even have this idea of an active shooter plan, because you know that of late we have had a lot of shootings. What if somebody decides not to shoot one person but to try to do a mass shooting? We have to prepare for those eventualities. There are a lot of copycat things going around the place. So in our program, we have that to deal with those particular situations as well. That's where the idea of negotiation and conflict resolution comes in. And here is one of the things that we want to really do, is to retrain all the police officers on our island. We're going to retrain them. We think one of the things that is sadly lacking in the arsenal of our law enforcement is the lack of tolerance and respect for people. No, I'm not really crying down the police, because I've seen some good police with good patience. But there are too many times when we see police just slapping people, lashing people, kicking people. You protesting, they're pushing you, they're blocking road. But people want to walk, let them walk. When you stop them from walking, you're going to create a conflict right away. So you guide them where to walk, you even guide them, help them to walk. You don't block them from walking. That is not how you solve a problem. So we would want to retrain from the commissioner down in terms of human relations, human rights, the Constitution, individual freedoms. We want that to be a function of the police, a serious part of their training. If we have to retrain them, we will do it. But moving forward, that will have
resolution.
Huh?
Conflict resolution.
Yeah. Instead of resolving conflicts, police create conflicts with some of them in the name of their party or whatever, I guess, or probably just not ready or equipped. I mean, I have seen too many instances of officers collaring fellas and beating fellas. Man, how can that be in a civilized nation? in a global context? No. So we will do that as part of our overall preparedness of dealing with the defense of our country. That has to be something that we take advantage of. And we will also create a secure command post for first responders and people who deal in disasters. Normally, you have the people with the government officials in some ministry or somewhere in the building, wherever, prime minister. I'm not too sure. I think we should have a command post. If we need the prime minister there, we'll bring them there. But otherwise, we protect the prime minister somewhere or the ministers wherever we protect them. But the command post should be professionals and experts. And if we need to have our head of state or head of government, then we bring them there. So we create and develop a secure command post where we protect our personnel and we take away the politics and the partisanship from their work. Too many times is the government and the headquarters and no. Let the people who the expertise manage the disasters. And if we need you, Mr. Prime Minister, you'll be called on to give your national address or whatever the case might be. So we'll develop that and we'll change from having heavy government interference in the management of our national disasters and stuff like that. Guys, we have more plans. Well, how much time do we have?
Right now, we're approaching the 12 minutes remaining mark. So we've gone for about 45 minutes.
All right. So, well, so if I think I might need another 5 minutes to wrap up, and I think we can maybe do a little overview and
Go ahead. We have time.
So, in addition to all the things we've mentioned, we will seek to recruit officers, law enforcement, health officials, and others to represent areas because you picking again. I do not know how they recruit officers and what's the plan, how they decide it. But our plan to recruit would be to look at the people who are most qualified and try to spread them around. So we will get a couple from Calibishi. I can't remember the last time we have had a police coming from Calibishi. I think the last police, well, let me not say who I know, but we have not had our fair quota of officers coming from Calibishi. Marigot may be another places, but the village of Calibishi and Woodford Hill, I think we haven't had police people coming from those places. So we will look at the country, look at the concentration of crimes, see how things are, and recruit with a strategy in mind. When was the last time we had an officer from Granby, from Kalinago territory? Get people who are qualified, yes, but from different areas. So our recruitment policy would be guided by that, not by partisanship. We will totally change and renew our electricity grid to be less reliant on fossils and have cleaner energies. And will create and generate new energies, not necessarily for local consumption only, to sell to interests who might visit our shores because the world is going clean in terms of energy, and use the money we make from those clean energy to reinvest in lowering the bills of electricity for the locals on the island of Dominica. So we will totally
all these things are things that would be preventing people from coming to the country to invest, because you don't want to invest in a country where it's expensive to create or to operate. So if TUD can look at ways of making things cheaper, so for example, Kennedy the handyman, make it cheaper for its business to operate. So other handymen would look at Dominica from overseas and say, "Hey, this guy is thriving in Dominica. Probably that's a business I can bring into Dominica as well." You know.
And one of the things we have done, as you know, we have done our homework and spoke to people around the region in terms of the cost of production of energy. And Dominica is very high. Antigua is as high as Dominica almost, but Dominica is one of the highest in the region because of our population. The critical mass is not supporting Well, it's not working out for us because we have not enough people consuming, so the cost per person is high. We have a plan to solve that problem. But we cannot create an electrical grid depending on the small population. First of all, we have to increase Dominica's population, which has been decreasing, and we have to use our electricity, sell it, use it commercially. I mean, I can say how we're going to use it, but I don't want to give everything out. Closer to election, or when we win, we'll do it. And then we can use the surplus we make from the investment of our electricity to give the people in Penville ease up on their light. Because if we continue running the grid the way we have, I mean, lights has doubled. No. Lights have doubled in Dominica now. And we're still patiently waiting. And every 5 years, we'll get maybe a little break. And we'll wait again. That's not how you manage a people. You have to give the people the break throughout the year. So election time, you haven't got much money to spend to win if you have to win. Work throughout the year. Give people stuff. Don't only give people stuff every 5 years. We're not in that. So we're going to renew that it benefits. We will enhance the supply of telecommunications and information technology. This wire running in the air, in the sky thing, we can have that, but no, the idea is to go completely surface. I know we have done that, and after Maria and Erica, we should have just made it compulsory that everything goes under, with the exception of those things that kind of has to be up. So we are going to enhance how we supply telecommunication. Not free, but it's going to be available for all by a program we're going to put in place. And we're going to create a sort of safe storage space for bulk fluids and foods. I said that before. We are land of water, but we're not preserving it. We're not keeping the water. We have to have water there that can last us for 2, 3, 4 years if we don't have the access to the water the way we have it now. If something happened, God forbid, to our fresh water, what we going to drink? So we're going to create that space. And
can I interject there? You were talking there, and the thought crossed my mind about the electric vehicle industry. First of all, I would compliment the government for putting things in place in terms of some concessions for persons who wish to bring in electric vehicles. But the environment, the cost of purchase for such vehicles, is it conducive to persons like the ordinary persons like myself, like Erwin, like Kenty, to purchase an electric car? If we go in renewable energy, don't you think if Kenty has access to some sort of solar setup, and he has a electric minivan to do his handyman business, at the end of the day he parks his vehicle, it's there to charge. Next day it's running normal, and it's only running on his solar power setup. What do you think about that, brother Kenty?
Well, I think that renewable energy is something that we have been talking about for a long time. I think it is a way to save, and definitely the way of the future. And like Brother Alex was saying, it's something that we need to venture into, so that we can, for efficiency, we cannot keep relying on fossil, where you have in the countries that supplying the fossil bullying other countries somewhat, and then that affects the price of the fossil, and then there's nothing we can do about it. So I think renewable energy is definitely the way of the future, and I think that is something that we should venture in, and we will, as Brother Alex said, once we become, the ones responsible for determining, the way of the nation.
Policies.
Yeah.
But not just that, But not just that, Kenty. We're not going to go into the small scale. Remember, we talk about that. You have to have big ideas and big plans to get big results. Sometimes small ideas can give you big results as well. But if you go in clean electricity, you go renewable, you have to go big. So our idea is to interest people like Elon Musk and those people like our friend from Virgin Atlantic to understand that we are willing to be part of the aeronautics business. We have enough land in Dominica to make available to investors to come in here. We're even interested in building space rockets on our shores close to the ocean, and probably maybe have a rocket take off. I'm taking off in Dominica as well. Why not? We're next to Florida. Why can't we do that? We have land, and have our young scientists working towards that. Maybe going to space as well. That is where we are. We can't hold the children back. The children want to go. So we'll talk to Elon Musk, give him the concessions that he needs for his business. So we'll have not just a few people bringing in electric cars, but a lot of people being able to bring in it through the concessions, the same concessions that we give to Ross. We lose Ross. Let's bring another big business in and see a few electric cars in Dominica. So, brothers, you asked me to present. I hope I actually did a credible job. We didn't get to do everything that we had to do today, but I'm going to pause and just turn it back to you guys to wrap up before we end our program here in the time that was allotted. I really hope I did justice to our program today.
Yeah, what is just two items you're missing to touch on here. The last two items on our program.
Oh, which ones now? You're talking about the reserve, the money, the economic reserve?
Yes.
Oh, well, I think I mentioned at the beginning the $10 billion that we would put aside as reserves. No, it's not going to just be sitting there. It's going to be in an investment trust that will continue to make money. But we have to put that money aside because we're going to have to go to our Federal Reserve if we need money to manage the problems of our country. We can't be taking loans every time to manage ourselves. So that's what we will develop. Over time, we'll develop it and have it there as reserves. So the next government that replaces us will have access to it and has to account for it too. So that's not money to pay bills or to pay salaries. It's to pay take care of the country in times of need, putting away forward for a rainy day. And also, we would like, you see, the people from Caen and other places who come by and buy the gold. We have a lot of gold in Dominica and people who come and buy gold. I don't know if you guys remember that. People passing around buying gold. We still have a lot of gold remaining. We would create a vault. So we want you to keep your gold if you want to have your gold, because gold is asset. Get a value to it, get a name to it, get a stock certificate for your gold, and there's a vault. So we have a gold and special gems vault, diamonds and whatever we have, and that stays in the keeps. So it's fireproof, disaster proof, whatever proof, and your stuff would be there saved again. So we'll create a national vault for those kind of protections for your perishables, your fine perishables, because there are Dominicans with a lot of fine assets stocked away in other places. We're going to create that business in Dominica for us in Dominica and for other people around the region and the world as well. So that's one of the things that we'll do as well, Carlos.
All right, guys. We're getting closer to the end. Probably Alex and Kenty, we can look at wrapping up and make way for other programs who are going to be online.
But I've done my bit, so it's left to you guys to wrap up. And thanks for allowing me the time to present the plans for our national security and our disaster preparedness and national security. It was a pleasure doing it on behalf of the team.
Kenty?
Well, regardless of swallow the fact of me being a little bit so far based on what I've been hearing, I must say that I am very enthusiastic about the future and what we're planning on doing. It's a pleasure to be working with you guys. I must say that Brother Alex never ceases to amaze me and with the way with the ideas that comes from his mind, and even the rest of the team. You know, I'm very, very much looking forward to doing this. And based on what I've been hearing so far, I mean, in the program, I think we had a good program, and looking forward to making everything happen and moving forward. Definitely, yes.
Yes, guys. Yeah, today was nice. Another nice little engagement. Keep introducing our ideas in terms of what the team unity vision is about for saving our country. Um, we've been on for for an hour and 1 minute. Let us not stay too long. Let's get on with the program. Next next opportunity that bring another more ideas from the general public. On behalf of the team, Alex, Carlos, Kenty, Dylan, Kendra, and of course our general membership, I'd like to thank you for tuning in. Of course, thank you for those who would, who would play the broadcast after we leave. Feel free to play it, share it, follow our YouTube channels and our various Facebook pages. Thank you very much for being tuned in, and I'll leave you with some music from the Jamaican artist Alkaline. It's positive messages in this tune. That song called "Open Up Your Eyes."
He never say he's halfway. Would have quit already if me halfway. You cannot last, dark times like a pass. Never listen to them when them say you can't wait. Reminder, it's good to be humble and it's good to be bold. Stay true to who you are because it's good for the soul. Them never really want to make it the truth to be told. But Jah have a plan for you. Aye, aye, aye.